Testing, testing. All right. Welcome back to another live stream, guys. Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be doing a shorter stream today than last weekend, I think. Maybe like an hour or so. We're going to be looking at two different videos today. Pretty controversial video, guys, at the end, so stick around for that. I hope you're looking forward to it. We are going to be talking about AI specifically and what your guys' thoughts are. I don't know a whole lot about it. You kind of been hearing in the news and things like that. People have their different opinions about these AI data centers and whatnot. We're not really going to be talking a whole lot about that, but we are going to be reviewing a video that was created by AI and kind of get your guys' thoughts on it. Again, similar to last weekend, I am going to be putting these up on my channel later in the future as individual videos, giving this a shot, seeing how my audience likes it. So if you are a subscriber, please let me know in the comments or somewhere if you prefer these live streams or just the videos afterwards. Your input is greatly appreciated. And so I got two videos queued up. The second one will be the AI video, and I won't give any spoilers or anything like that. I've already seen the video. So the first video I haven't seen, we'll watch together, kind of get a live reaction. And it's on a different topic, but it's one that we saw last weekend in the queue. And then the second AI video, I have seen it. And that's all I'll say about it for now. So I'll share more when we get to it. So let's get right into it. This first video is why our generation doesn't care about anything anymore. So let's cue that up. So this first one is called Why Our Generation Doesn't Care About Anything Anymore. It is by the channel Jet Franzen. And as mentioned last weekend, guys, I have listened to a few of this young man's videos. He has a lot of insights and I suppose wisdom for his age, I think. And so with that, we'll just play it and see where he goes with it.
Our generation does not care about anything anymore. We've grown exhausted to the point of almost learned helplessness. And so that's why we pretty much don't care. Nothing feels worth caring about anymore.
Learned helplessness. I think this guy is in his early or mid-20s, guys. So I think he is considered Gen Alpha or Gen Z. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. I think I'm a millennial. I'm 36, so that's, and I think after me is Gen Alpha, and below that, my daughter's 17, so I think she would be considered Gen Z. So I'm not sure. This guy might be Gen Alpha. But so just for context, for you guys out there wondering.
It's not that we're lazy, it's just that we've been disillusioned because you're pretty much told from a young age, if you work hard and you do honest work, you're going to have a good life. But reality is starting to kick in for a lot of us where it's like, if you work hard, oftentimes you can barely stay afloat. When effort doesn't match the reward, motivation dies. And now you couple that with constant stimulation with, your phone. You can just have social media. You can get dopamine hits from pretty much anything at your fingertips nowadays. It makes real life feel so dull. We're in this sort of hazy state as a whole generation, excuse me. And ultimately nothing is fulfilling anymore. Everything feels temporary. So jobs, relationships, trends, nothing lasts. people like to chase quick hits, right? They want the six pack now. They want money, fastest way to get rich. They want attention, clicks, instead of actual meaning. The system tends to reward surface level success, not depth. If you can appear successful, that's the ultimate goal, not actually being successful. And so
That's interesting. You can appear successful. That's better than actually being successful. And I think it's a reoccurring loop, right? It like feeds into itself. Kind of what he was saying was there's no satisfaction or fulfillment in it. And in a sense, I think maybe from the American view, I can see this is similar to the lady that we responded to last week, talking about the system, kind of this, the system, which can be very vague, right? You kind of you can sympathize with the idea, but then where the rubber meets the road, sometimes from the perspective can be very different from, say this man and his versus his brother, or versus his father, or versus their grandfather or cousin, right? Like the perspectives are going to be they can be wildly differing.
this takes a toll on the psyche of individuals. When everything becomes a performance, and when that performance is inherently unfulfilling, you're kind of left wondering what is there to life. And so you stop caring. You either turn into a nihilist or an absurdist. Either, nothing makes sense and that sucks, or nothing makes sense, so who cares? But
Yeah, and this will connect with our last video too, guys. I think, again, from kind of the worldview perspectives, right? There's kind of two that we may be looking at. A humanist. We evolved from monkeys and goos, versus some sort of creationist, theist. God created us. We have purpose. We have meaning. The other one, it's hard to find these concrete things, right? Meaning, purpose, and then what for if we just turn into worm food at the end, right? I don't know what this young man's views are from the videos that I've seen. I don't know his perspectives in that sense, but definitely you can relate. This kind of goes back to our hyper individualistic society in America, and capitalism, right? Keeping up with the Joneses, as I mentioned in the last video, in like the 90s, early 2000s, right? The Ponzi schemes, the get rich quick schemes, right? Because we all want to go on vacation, and what makes us happy and what makes us feel good, that's pretty much what people chase, right? And that's all on social media now, the ecosystems of likes and shares and followers and things like that. And I totally get it, because I'm on YouTube, and yes, I look at analytics, right? But I'm not totally black-pilled, so we'll share a little bit more after we hear a bit more from him.
either way, nothing makes sense. Like nothing inherently has meaning, is what it feels like.
I think one specific example I'll give, right, and like I said, our daughter's 17. We're kind of looking at her future, college, military. What, I worked in corporate America for a little bit before I became a truck driver, and I think we've all kind of been sold these goods, right? Of go to college and you get this degree, this piece of paper, and you get this job, and you get paid a lot of money. And I think a lot of young people, and with the economy, right? The economy ebbs and flows. It's up and down. You're not always guaranteed what, every single person is not guaranteed this successful story that they all paint in the movies or the pictures, right? Because I'm pretty sure we all know people that work super, super hard, and maybe they don't make a ton of money. They're not rich, You think about people in third world countries that are working, farm fields or what have you, coffee bean fields, and they're not rich people, but I guarantee they're working a lot harder than many of us here in the States, right? But this is the land of opportunity. When if you can create a product that people want, you know, you think about Shark Tank. Shark Tank has been a huge staple in our country, right? And in the world probably for the past decade or two, uh, where you can create a sponge and become a billionaire, right?
If you do what you're told, if you go to school, if you put in honest, respectable work,
Here it is.
you know, get an internship, put your name out there, network, get a job, there's like a 98% chance you're just not going to enjoy what you do. Like
Oh,
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know. I mean, I don't know a lot of people in general, but I don't know anybody that actually truly enjoys what they do.
I'm going to push back on him a little bit here, guys. When I worked in corporate America, quote unquote, I did enjoy what I was doing. I have an associate's degree in accounting. I worked for a collections agency, a small family-owned firm, um, and thoroughly enjoyed my job. But I went to go get my CDL because it was either that or go back to school for accounting because at that particular time in the economy and where we were at in the market, my associate's degree, I was basically capped. I was salary capped, and so we do always need to keep learning and adapting and growing. Otherwise, we will come to that place. But and the people I enjoyed with, you know, whether it was IT or you know you name it, even the people in the call center, many of them thoroughly enjoyed what they were doing. At least that's what I perceived, anyways. This guy works alone in his basement, so but there are people that are miserable at their jobs on the other hand too, right? So there's kind of the two ditches of the road.
There is a death of the American dream. The traditional formula is broken, right? Like there's some statistic, and I'm gonna botch this, but it's like for the minimum wage to equate the purchasing power that they had in I believe it was the 60s or the 70s, you'd have to be earning $77. And by the way, this statistic is from like 2 years ago. So it's probably like in the 80s, potentially 90s now.
Yeah, I think I seen a similar stat or video recently, not 2 years ago, but recently, and it was close to that, right? The poverty level, or he said minimum wage. But yeah, guys, 60 or 70, and that's inflation in our economy. And again, when we're chasing this ultra capitalistic society without any kind of guardrails, and I'm not a big government interventionist type of guy, but and then our fiat currency, and I don't know a lot about the Federal Reserve, but I haven't heard good things when you just start printing money out of nowhere, that can damage the economy or the ecosystem or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, I used to, you know, I got a job. Like I said, I'm 36, started working 22 years ago, mowing lawns. And even when our daughter was born, you know, I thought $50 an hour was, you know, like millionaire status. And it is a good wage, don't get me wrong. But at my truck driving job, you know, I'm probably getting close to that number. And our one income household with three people our budget is tight. Budget's tight. So I can understand what he's saying. You know, you used to think $1,000 a week. Wow, you know what I could do with that, right? That was like the dream millionaire status. And then when you think about it, $1,000 a week is 52K a year gross, right? After 30% taxes, where it goes quick when you're looking at gas prices today, food prices today.
You'd have to earn $77 an hour for minimum wage to be able to afford a home. That's like, bro, and every time if you're watching this video, you're likely somewhere around my age. You know how it is. You talk to older people, and it's just like they're just like, oh, your generation's not working hard enough, or like you're all just distracted on your phones, you're doing this or that, you're lazy. They don't have a clue, bro. It would take like
and I don't want to be on that side, guys, right? So like I said, I'm in the middle of the boomers. My parents would be boomers or Gen X, but our small townhouse was 100K in 2017. The homes that they're building in my town, we could never afford. Townhomes starting in the 300s, single family homes starting in the 500s. Like, my wife could work the same exact job that I do, and with our two incomes, if she did, we would not be able to afford the single family home that they're building, a mile from my house here. No shot. There's no shot. Our elderly lady neighbor, her house was built in 1960. She said that her and her husband paid $19,000 for it, and I think Zillow has it, estimated at 360. And I suppose that's kind of a decent price. It's a bigger house. I don't know exactly how many rooms and bedrooms, but it's probably your typical like single family home. Again, it was built in the 60s, but it's a decent sized house. It's not a mansion or anything like that, but maybe like 3-bedroom, 2-bath, main floor, basement, a big 2-stall garage, at least a half an acre fenced in backyard. So, but I'm super sympathetic to, again, our daughter's 17, and if I'm thinking about, her and hopefully a husband starting a family, I don't know how they're doing it, to be honest. I don't know what the future looks like in that sense. So I totally sympathize with this guy and Gen Z to follow. And we can say, they're on their phones and lazy or whatnot, but they're working, our daughter's working the same type of job that I was at that age. I think she's working hard. I know a lot of young people that are working hard. And with inflation, just the cost of living is just going up.
3 humans to equate, like nowadays, to equate what it took just one of them back then. And it's not like they're competing with AI. I'm going against a machine that can operate 1,000 times faster than me and significantly more efficiently and likely better than me.
Yeah, that's another aspect too that they did not have. That's a true point right there, 100%.
Right when I'm entering the job market.
That's our next video, guys. AI. Yep. So that's.
And a lot of people feel this way.
Yep.
Owning a home, raising a family, building some sort of stability, it feels out of reach. Back in the day, if you had a roommate, people were like, you're gay. Nowadays, if you have one roommate, they're like, wow, I'm surprised you don't have more. Like, that's where we're at.
Yep. Older
Generations, a whole household could survive off of one income. Nowadays, that's not true. Nowadays, you need.
Yeah, we have survived on one income for the most part, guys. A family of 3, but it was always hard. You have to be super frugal, and that's finding deals. Like he said, with roommates or whatnot. Renting from our manager or renting a super old house, or this townhouse that we're in now. It's small. Our mortgage is very low. We got in at a good time in the market with low interest rate. I can see the struggle. I don't want to say that we're completely an anomaly. I think it can still happen today. But the budget is going to be tough. You're not going to be. I know it's a meme and people don't like it, but you're not going to be having Starbucks every day and nails and hair and this and that But
need the wife and the kids to be working to afford anything.
Yeah.
And then all of that is taxed. The government, loves it.
And it is a reason that young people are deciding not to have children or get married. I know we've kind of talked about that on the channel in the past, which is a bummer. That's unfortunate. I think it needs to be addressed and changed. We should be incentivizing young people to get married and have children because we need families for society.
The dream didn't evolve, but the world evolved, and that's the problem.
True.
There is certainly consideration about whether or not the older generations have failed us. They built systems that worked for their time, but they never adapted them. They didn't care enough because it wasn't going to affect them personally. Advice like just work harder, it's so out of touch, right?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And I don't know, you know, I you hear this sentiment a lot, right? That the boomers screwed us over. You know, they didn't care about us. I mean, these are our parents and grandparents that we're talking about. And who was in control, right? I mean, if you ask your grandparents if they care about you, you know, I'm sure they would say yes, infatuately, right? But again, things like the Federal Reserve and again, I don't want to call for, you know, huge government intervention, but you think about the pharmaceutical industry, the healthcare system, right? These, you know, yeah, I know that these systems were created in their time, but I don't know that, you know, my grandma she had no hands in those things being created. I mean, maybe you could say that, you know, they should have fought against them or what have you, but I think, like he said, they've evolved, right? The world has evolved. The dream hasn't evolved. The world has evolved, and some of those systems, unfortunately.
Policies and economic decisions that have been created essentially are promoting a wealth gap, rising cost, fewer opportunities. There is a growing disconnect between generations. One thinks we're entitled, the other thinks we're abandoned. It's absurd. What we're working towards is a two-faction system. You used to have the upper class, the middle working class, and the lower class. And now it's like 1% upper class, and they own like 60% of the wealth. And then it's just like 2 to 3% middle class, and even those people, it's really just like the vast majority is the working class.
Yeah,
you know?
I
like
think so.
Everybody's just slaving away just to get by.
Yeah, I think we are going in that direction, and I don't know what the answers are, but I see his point. And you know, and some people say, you know, there's an argument out there that, you know, but our poorest are richer than you know, some of the rich people in again, some of these third world countries, right? Like our poorest have cell phones, big screen, flat screen TVs, right? We got Snap, EBT, all these things that provide for even the poorest among us. I know the homeless, you know, we kind of, some of these high populated areas have big homeless problems. And so I do acknowledge that.
You know, the economy is breaking people mentally. Constant financial stress. It pretty much just leads to a burnout before life even starts. People deny milestones like moving out, marriage, kids. There are reports coming out that are saying
those are big milestones.
That I think it's like in 40 years from now, the average household will have 3 generations in it. So grandparents and their children and their children's children, right? That's going to be a household. But
maybe that'll be a good thing. You know, maybe we need to get back to that place, kind of, right? And that's what it used to look like, right? America, we're relatively a young country. And I think this whole idea of like every single person needs to have this massive house and multiple vehicles, I don't think that's sustainable, nor is it really good for society. You know, my wife, where she's from, her grandmother, her mother, and her aunt, and before her sister got married, they all lived in a house, and those generations can help each other in different ways, right? The younger can look after the elder have assets and knowledge and wisdom that they can share with the younger, et cetera, et cetera. N- And that's just kind of, fiscally, but you think about relationally and emotionally, um, those are huge benefits.
When you think about it, this is
And I know, like, maybe from this guy's perspective and from a lot of people's perspective, we're saying that, well, our economy and our financial systems are forcing people into that, because everything's so expensive, and so I do get that.
just it when all of this just negative human experience, or like this dull future in mind, is so prevalent and it's so in your face, especially when you're working towards something, you start to you're like, I don't care about anything anymore, I can't win. It's like it's a losing game is what it feels like. And so yeah, we're sitting here and we're kind of pissed off as a generation, because it's like when we raise our kids aren't even going to have the um neighborhood experience. They're not going to be able to like go out on trick or treat in a neighborhood, because everybody's going to be living in an apartment complex, probably in the freaking projects, because nobody could afford, you know. Survival mode has replaced ambition, and with it we've destroyed the joys of life. And when you destroy the pleasures that God has, gifted us, such as spending time with friends and family, such as, being able to, buy things that make you feel good, um that are like fruitful to the soul. When you can't do these things anymore, you're left with nothing but despair, and you stop to care as a sort of defense against the irrational nature of your reality.
I will say that the cost of things is stressful, but I think some of what he shares here, you know, I think social media and the internet maybe is doing more harm than the economy and some of these aspects, right? Because when he says, I'm not for people growing up in the projects, but when you think about, when he mentions kids growing up and the social aspect with other kids or playing and with toys, like kids don't need a whole lot, right? To be happy or fulfilled. If we're talking about these as, objectives for a child, a soccer ball, which is 10, which, you could find them for free in some places, but for relatively cheap, a soccer ball can keep, a group of children entertained for hours, whether you're in an apartment complex or, I grew up in the trailer park. We're biking around, we're playing manhunt, we're playing basketball, we're playing baseball at the local diamond. Like, these things don't cost a lot of money, but they do require children to be able to go out, explore. I know, again, things have evolved, right? There's a lot more helicopter parenting. The news is all day, constantly, every day, and you see bad things happening on the news, right? So parents want a helicopter even more. But if you think about our childhoods in the 90s, early 2000s, running around town with your buddies, no money at all, no money necessary, uh, and it was a great time.
It's hard to care about a purpose when you're just trying to survive. Beyond that, I mean, there's a moral decline. There's a value.
I also think, guys, like, there's people around the world that, you know, they work and work and work. Like, we here in America, I think we have it so good that kind of we just get in this mentality. But when you think again about people that, you know, where my wife's from, or another country where they grow coffee beans, right? These people work those jobs from 15 to 60, and they don't complain, right? They don't complain about the economy or how stressful their days, their life is, or how complicated or hard it is, right? They're just that's, you know, again, kind of harkening back to my last video. All of us have to work to eat, uh, you know, this lifestyle or this life of putting your feet up on a beach, sipping mimosas all day, every day, and water parks and vacations. Uh, you know, even before the fall, God created us to work, right? The mandate was to be fruitful and multiply, and to work the earth and have dominion over it. And that was pre-fall. So work in itself is not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Value shift. Integrity is no longer rewarded. Visibility is. Attention is the new currency of the modern age, and you can just rage bait, you could lie, you could do whatever you want just to get attention. I myself am guilty of this, which is why I feel like a expert to talk on the topic.
Yeah, so a lot of that is true, and you could see it all over, right? When again, even the last video, right? We talked about, fraudsters are making millions, frauding the system, right? Bad behavior is rewarded. We're law-abiding citizens, perfect credit, don't get in trouble with the law, and you seem to be punished. I understand where the sentiment comes from, but yeah.
But yeah, people see fake people win, they see manipulators succeed, they see honest people struggle,
Mm-hmm.
and they kind of sit there and they're like, what's the point? This creates a mindset shift. Why be good if it doesn't pay off? And so then this leads to an inevitable.
Well, again, those two worldviews, right? The humanist, that question is certainly valid, but for those of us that do believe in God, you need to do the right thing regardless. Integrity is important, no matter if evil or bad behavior is being rewarded.
Moral decline, loyalty becomes replaced by clout. There are shortcuts to absolutely everything, and everybody just wants instant gratification.
Yep.
The dating market is cooked for us. If you are my age and you're watching this video, I know what you're talking about, especially if you're a man. Things just don't, like, everybody wants, they want all the benefits of a relationship without the commitment. They want all the reward with no risk. They don't, like, our generation, we're not faithful, we're not loyal. You see a lot of entitlement. It's annoying to be around. It's annoying when there is a lack of virtue in the social sense,
Yep.
People are becoming dumber. AI is doing the thinking for them, and that just leads people down a rabbit hole of, or like some sort of existential dread often.
Yep. Myself included. I don't read as much as I should. I settle for mediocrity. You know, I should be learning new things. So, and I think we're all susceptible to it. And I can't really explain or articulate what, a solution, but I think a lot of what he's saying is kind of, if you hear about, in politics or what have you, certain things with the pendulum swinging right and left, and when it gets too far one way, it starts to come back. I think, I guess that's my hope, is a lot of what he's talking about, right, with this hopelessness and his generation with relationships, because again, our daughter is about to enter into her kind of adulthood, and we are hoping and praying for a good husband and family, if that's God's will for her life. But I have kind of heard this sentiment in the younger people that they're just giving up.
And these things, like I said, they start to compound, they start to add up. People are not, you can't enjoy much. trust overall is collapsing. People, they don't trust anymore.
Yep.
The institutions, academia, I just made a video about academia and how I think that's flawed. The media, we know that's
We'll have to check that one out. We'll have to check that one out in the future. Yo, Alpha Zero, what is up from Finland? How did you find my channel, man? That's pretty dope. What time is it there? Welcome in, man. We are checking out this video, why our generation doesn't care about anything anymore. I've seen this guy a couple of times. Drunk sauna and happiest country on the planet. Yeah, man, a lot of Americans are getting on the sauna hype, I think, for the past, like, decade. My wife and I are trying to go to the sauna more often. And we do, I mean, we have a lot of, like, you know, German Irish ancestry here, so plenty of drinking to be had in the States too.
fake. Corporations, they're doing whatever they want to exploit people to make money, and we don't even trust each other. That's where we've gone. When trust disappears, so does the collective belief in anything bigger. When you lack a collective belief, I've recently made a video on this, which in most civilizations has been God. When you don't have that, everybody becomes just does whatever their selfish desires want from them, and then they get eaten alive by these very desires. And you have conflicting interests, and those conflicting interests eventually lead to tension, and this tension leads to, you know, sometimes violence, sometimes intellectual wars, culture wars.
Yeah, I think we're seeing that in our politics today. And totally 100%, I think our country was founded on God and Christian values. So that is, I think that's why we've been the greatest country, but and we've been moving away from God quickly in the past few decades. Yeah, we are honest people. I can see when someone acting or being dishonest, like Russians. Oh, brother. I don't know a lot about geopolitics, man, or I was actually sharing this with my wife. We watch a period drama from Europe, I think, called Downton Abbey. Probably pretty popular, maybe around the world, but especially over in Europe. She was watching a cooking channel, and these two cooks from different parts of the world, they kind of understand each other because of, you know, cooking and how you make things and what have you. And they were both kind of making comments with kind of from knowledge of the other person's background. And I told my wife, like, I am totally oblivious to other cultures and nations and stuff like that around the world, which is a bummer. I don't believe in God. My fathers were Vikings. We conquered the whole Europe. Yeah, I like to joke that I have Viking ancestry. I think many Vikings did turn to God later on, because I think I heard a guy that studies history saying that like, for civilization, right, you can't just run around conquering and pilfering 24/7, right? Still, I love honesty. I can see dishonesty in a human eye. Yep. Yep, honesty is telling the truth, and God is truth, so that's where it comes from, right? I know you say you don't believe in God, but if we came from monkeys, where that foundational truth comes from to tell the truth, I don't know where we get that from. But I can respect you as a person, and that's a good skill to have if you do have that.
It just gets exhausting to live in a world where everything's performative, where you have to be politically correct about everything, how anything you can do can be taken out of context or kind of intentionally misunderstood. And it's just, once again, it compounds. These things are beginning to add up, and it all ultimately has led to one thing, which is an overall identity crisis of our generation.
True.
When you have endless choices, you can choose anything you want. You have no direction. Without direction, you lack conviction, you lack drive, and you stop caring about anything. You know,
But this can be a good thing because we can point people back to God when these things happen. When people have loss of identity or no hope, we do have hope in God. So there's that saying of hard times create good men create good times, or something like that, right? With that loop, and we may be in that place. You are European also. Did you ever do a DNA test? I haven't done a DNA test, Alpha. I'm from the United States. I don't know exactly where my ancestry comes from. I think some German and Norwegian, I believe, is what I was told by my grandma. But I've never done a DNA test. I've heard different things about those DNA tests that they may not be accurate. But it would be interesting. Like I said, I'm a big like DBZ fan, right? I love Vegeta, so I do like to joke with my wife, or with my wife and daughter that my ancestors were Vikings, right? Because I see them as very hard and stoic men, you know. Usually when you grow in cold climates like ice ages, Scandinavia growed the most gruesome and strong humans that ever lived. Yeah, yes. And I live in the Midwest in the United States, so Minnesota, like the middle northern part of the United States, right next to Canada. And we have super wicked winters. I mean, blizzards. I grew up. We've had some pretty mild winters recently, but growing up when I was a kid, I remember, we get, 5 to 10 feet of snow, freezing cold, sub-zero temperatures with the wind chill. Vikings were savage, tattooed beasts. Yeah, but I don't know if they were like that forever, right? I think they eventually had to be civilized. At least that's kind of this video that I was listening to. I haven't done a ton of research or anything, but they believed in Marvel movies. The Vikings? They didn't have movies back then. Oh, but do you mean like Thor and stuff like that? Yeah, Thor. Okay, yeah. Yeah, but some of that probably goes back to like mythology and gods and stuff, right? Like weather, lightning, and thunder. These come from a being, right? Rune stones. Okay. Yeah, I think I've heard of stuff like that.
people are being told that they can be anything, but given no structure to become something. If you want
I'm huge on structure. What did he say there?
to be the
We're given everything but no structure.
People are being told that they can be anything, but given no structure to become something.
Okay. Yeah, like and I'm one of those guys that needs kind of to be told what to do. Americans saying they are native is funny. We killed all the Indians. You are European. Yeah, I think most, like, if you're talking about like white Americans having European ancestry, yet originally from way back, yeah, I think so. But again, that would be like Scandinavia, and those countries. And when you say we killed the Indians, like people have been killing each other forever. I'm not condoning it, but it's not an isolated thing that only Americans did. People have been conquering lands since the beginning of time. Think so? Yeah, I think so. We're coming close to the end here, but stick around, Alpha. The next video is on AI. I think you're gonna like it. But when he talks about people are told they can have anything that they want, but given no structure to obtain it, that's interesting. What do you guys think about that? I joined the military, and I really enjoyed it because I liked the structure that it had, and kind of again being told what to do. I don't have like a engineering or entrepreneurial mind or a creative mind. I'm kind of better at task. Give me a task or teach me how to do it right. They taught us how to shoot. They taught us how to maneuver, and then you kind of execute right. My mind kind of works more like that. I don't know. I don't know the philosophy or all that behind it, but that's kind of how my mind works.
If you want to be the exception, I mean, you really have to figure out a way to stand out, and that's done by yourself. This all.
But in today's economy, that is what how people are making money. Like this guy is exactly what he is talking about. He has a successful YouTube channel, and he is kind of like an outlier, right? He's doing something different, and I seen a YouTube channel that promotes a bunch of like entrepreneurs and things like that, and there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of channels like that, and very young people that are they're still making new businesses and being wildly successful. Again, in this kind of capitalistic society, where you can start with nothing and become very wealthy. So it is still possible, but like he said, you're gonna have to be an outlier. You're gonna have to work hard and make sacrifices, but it's not a guarantee, I don't think. No, I'm not condoning my ancestors conquered the whole Europe. They even have awesome paintings about demons. These are the Vikings. What happened is Vikings were superb seafarers. They knew how to build ships. Nobody knew how to build ships like Vikings. Yeah, what I heard is the Vikings moved. What I heard actually is that Vikings possibly founded America before Columbus. But what I heard was Vikings were very good at husbandry, but sometimes the climate didn't reciprocate. So they didn't. What I heard, and I don't know, like I said, I haven't studied this, but what I heard is they didn't quite adapt, because when they went west from the Europeans, or like from Finland, like you were saying, to Greenland or Iceland, they tried to kind of force husbandry where the climate just it didn't work very well. And some of them continued west, which would have been like, where Columbus came, like the northeast United States. We find Indian jewelry in Sweden. It's a question how the Vikings got to India. Yeah, I'm 100% sure Vikings found America before Columbus. Yeah, that's kind of what the video was saying. Again, I'm no history buff. I kind of enjoy, learning about these things or listening to those type of videos. But that's kind of what the guy was saying. He was saying that a lot of Vikings died in Greenland because, again, their main thing was husbandry, meaning like farming and living off the land, but the climate was so Jurassic there that it didn't, they kind of tried to force it to work, and it just the climate just didn't agree, right? And I think part of that forced them to kind of continue west, which would have been right the States and Canada, basically. I think I can't remember what his conclusion was. What happened after that? I think they had to return, or maybe I think the Indians, they didn't have enough people, so the Indians pushed them out, so they returned and never came back, or something like that. They were mercenaries and actually very successful. Okay. This might have been a certain type of Viking or ancestry of them. The video that I wish I could remember more accurately. My apologies.
All in all, just leads to confusion. It leads.
People hired Vikings because they were super successful. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I like the Vikings, or like what you mentioned, right? In the freezing climates, very hard, rugged people, and you have to be to survive. Yeah, that was 800 years ago. Okay.
Leads to drifting. And as I've said over and over again, there's just an overall lack
Hey, Alpha, so you said you're from Finland. How did you come across my channel, if you don't mind me asking, and the live stream?
of purpose. Why should we care about anything when it never serves us? Why should I care about my job when I know that they're exploiting me for money? Why should I care about a relationship when I know that that person is not going to be faithful when push comes to shove? Why would I care about the work I'm putting in now and trying to grow as a person when AI could easily just be taking my job soon?
Yeah, these are all valid complaints, but we have those freedoms in the U.S., right? I think, and well, you know, when he talks about a job that's just exploiting you, like we do have that option to get a different job. You search just talking filtered live. Really? That's interesting. Well, I appreciate you hopping in, man. You search just talking and filtered live. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking? Is that a generation thing? On YouTube, huh? I've followed people on Twitch, so I know kind of how that works, but I didn't know that people did that on YouTube. I've heard that YouTube lives are kind of harder to get, you know, discovery and stuff, but that's interesting. How did it list the lives when you search that? That's interesting, because we wouldn't be at the top for viewers.
I'll end it by saying this. Maybe that's
YouTube trying to push smaller channels, I guess. That's what I've been hearing anyways. The algorithm or something. Maybe, I don't know.
it's not that this generation doesn't care. Maybe it's that this generation.
I'm 39. I got 2 boys, 5 and 7. My first daughter born soon in June. Oh, that's awesome, man. Congrats. That's that's a couple of days away. 5, 7 and a newborn daughter. Cool. That'll be cool because she'll have 2 older brothers. That's kind of cool. Or like, you know, protection and stuff in school or what have you, depending on where you live or where you go to school and whatnot. But awesome, man. Congrats.
Has never been given something real to believe in. We've never been granted the opportunity to taste fulfillment or
I have a duty. Yeah. Life duty. Yeah, and we talked about this last weekend too in my last video about duties, you know, and we have duties, and I personally believe they come from God, but in any case, right? You know, we have duties that we have to fulfill, and if you kind of, you can get into like a black-pilled or nihilistic place really quickly if you decide to shirk those duties and responsibilities. And you see that now with kind of some of the protests and things going on, right? You think about, like, do these people not have jobs, or, you know, people are willing to ruin their lives over, you know, a very irresponsible action, and possibly the lives of people around them. When you don't have kids, you don't understand it. Yeah. And I could be sympathetic, right? When we're young, kind of, right? Young and dumb is kind of the saying, right? So I definitely didn't make great choices when I was younger, so I'm not going to try to pretend. When you do, your life changes. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard, and I've heard a lot of kind of red pill or, you know, conservatives saying that you know, getting married and having children young it helps the maturization of a person, which was definitely the case for my wife and I, both as a married unit and individually, because, like you said, it forces you to do these things, right? If my wife didn't know how to cook, well, she better learn how to quick, right? You got 3 mouths that you need to feed now, right? I had to go to work straight out of high school. Well, I joined the military, right? You young men, if young men have these duties and stick to them, you are forced to take on those responsibilities, like you said. Yep.
Pursuit of something that we know is going to be long lasting and, virtuous and brings us some sort of meaning. Without these things, it's hard to care about anything. If we bring back these things, that is when we will start to see a shift, a mindset change in a generation where we will finally begin to care.
Yeah, and I think this is possible, guys. Like, a lot of people are blackpilled in America, but like what he said, if we bring back these things, right? If young people can see that getting married and having children, having a family is incentivized, it's possible, and it's incentivized, then I think that can swing the pendulum back, and I think it can happen fairly quickly. It will take generations, but I think it's possible, God willing, in our country. Because our government, we've already seen, right? We can make these things. I did a video a long time ago, right around kind of when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, but it was about abortion. And our government can, we write legislation and legislate morality all the time. If we just criminalize abortion and ban it, that's that, right? And when we incentivize marriage between one man and one woman in the tax code, with benefits, things like this, these things can be turned around. But again, our society has been moving away from God and His values to hyper individualistic, right? Everybody can be whatever they want. There's millions of genders. People are trying to be animals. They're marrying inanimate objects. Things like this is no bueno for society. But that was the first video, guys. Let me know what you think. Jeff Franson, I'll link the video in the description. We'll check out some of the comments, and then we'll move on to our next video of the day. 100% when I look at my kids' eyes and they look back, I'm scared. I'm thinking, Jesus, this is me. In like a bad way? What do you mean? You do see a lot of realizations, right? In our own daughter, I see my sinful choices sometimes coming out in her, right? Attitudes, actions. Yeah, man. Like when you have children, it definitely, they mimic you. They are your DNA, right? And that can be for the good or for the worse. Yeah, 100%. Badminton? You mean this? Are you talking about the sport? So this working hard just gets you exploited. We were born into a game of Monopoly where hotels are already on every square. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, with inflation and again, kind of the Federal Reserve and printing money. At this point, I am more excited about afterlife. So that is a huge thing, right? And for religious people, yeah, 100%. I mean, and we will live for eternity. So that is, what we do here matters for sure. But the scriptures tell us that our life here is like a mist. It's like a vapor. It's here and it's gone in comparison to eternity, right? Which finite minds we can't even hardly fathom. But yeah, 100%. What are some of the replies on this? It's bad when you thinking beyond this dystopian society. Yeah, that depends on your perspective. I've been more excited about afterlife since I was 19. Now I'm 40. Yep, see? This is 100% a believer. What are 100 years compared to an eternity? Yep. Love is the key. Dude, enjoy life. Life is too short for BS. Make a plan. How are you happy? Yeah, I understand, Alpha, but I think if that's your 100% goal, happiness, what does that lead to, right? I think our society kind of has been portraying that, right? When every single person puts themselves and their own happiness above all else, and duty doesn't derive from that, right? We don't get duties from that. I think we've been running away from duties because of that, because we're chasing the happiness. Let me tell you, life is short. Yeah, I'll agree. Life is short, 100%. And we should make plans. Tomorrow you are 40. Yeah. Life here is short, but that makes thinking about eternity important. Where were we at? Let's see. These are all replies. Being an older Gen Z, 1998, okay, I'm going to high school. I'm being told, go to college or else you're a loser by every teacher, counselor, role model, and parent has really made me realize none of it mattered. Those who did go to college now have a massive pile of debt and an entry-level job at Walmart. Tomorrow, you know, is here for you. Yep, time flies. I'm old soon and dead. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In the scriptures say that, right? That our life here is just a vapor. It's a mist. It's very short compared to eternity. So it's important to think about and ponder and know what happens after we die. And I think the Bible tells us, you are young, brother. I'm close to you. I'm you're only 3 years older than me. I'm getting close to 42, brother. I'm right there with you. But yeah, I think this guy, Ant Magic, his point, right? Just go to college, get a degree. And I think it can be important, right? Going to school, you learn lessons, discipline. The debt, number one, the debt is a huge deal. And number two, we're not always guaranteed. You know, I think we get this piece of paper and then we're guaranteed this, you know, six-figure job or career. And with things evolving, listen, use your time wisely. It's a short time. Yeah. But I think people are seeing that, right? And for young men, right, going to the trade schools, I think this is where the pendulum, right? Like not everybody needs to go to like college and get some kind of corporate America. The trades and being a veteran, the military is an option. In the military, you can get your schooling paid for 100%. So even for our daughter is kind of looking into that as a possibility. I'm not depressed but I don't care if early anymore, and I don't fear death. When effort doesn't match the reward, motivation dies. Yeah, so we talked about that. They call it the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it, George Carlin. The world has definitely changed. Yeah, a lot of things have changed. The harder you work, the harder you work. Oh wow, yeah, dude. Yeah, see this is real. Because I think people will complain a lot. It's easy for people to complain saying that they're working harder and that you're getting paid less, right? We've probably all seen the memes, right? Where if you work harder, your boss is just going to give you more responsibility, but they're not going to increase your pay. So don't work harder, right? That's what people say. But again, I think that's the privilege of the United States, probably specifically, or maybe the West. But like I said, in third world countries where they're working hard every day from sun up to sundown, right? The harder you work, the harder you work. That's just what it is, plain and simple. Humans are cattle animals. The most benefit you can get is to get rid of that mentality. You need to think like a predator in dark, not cats. I love cats. Yeah, that would probably be kind of like the survival of the fittest, right? Maybe Darwinian evolution. If we came from animals, that would be the thought process. You think you need to think like a predator. You have a massive brain, use it. Yeah. People are being told that they can't be anything but given no structure to become something. Yeah, that's what I was saying about joining the military. Follow your dreams, but only if your dreams involve making money. Yeah, and I think, but like we've mentioned before, you have to work to pay, pay bills, to provide, to feed yourself. Even if there was no money, right? Take away paper, fiat, take away any money, right? Tomorrow, and say your corporate America job, blah blah blah, your degree, all that stuff. For food, what are you going to do for food? Right? A young man is going to have to go out and hunt and get the food, right? He's going to have to kill something, get the food, bring it home. They're going to have to clean it and cook it. Like, this takes time, energy, again, like this thing, like, feet up, sipping mimosas on the beach. And again, even if you take away the corporate America and the corruption and all that stuff, right? Tomorrow, like, to get food to survive, or water, right? Think about fresh drinking water. I think we are doomed. I don't know if you think that, Alpha. I would challenge, because you're having children. Deep down inside, innately, there's hope somewhere, and that hope is in God, because you were created in God's image, and He loves you and cares about you. And you're having children, and you care deeply about them, and they're important. No farming animals is normal. Yeah, that's the point that I'm making. People would have to work no matter, right? And again, biblically, from the scriptures, we see this from the beginning of time. You have to work to survive. And work is a good thing. It's not all bad. Playing music keeps me alive. Slowing down and stopping when necessary helps. Art is life. Work sucks. Yeah, see, but this is exactly what I was saying, guys. Art is life. Work sucks. Art has its place, but we all have to work, right? And music is awesome. It's like it's a universal language, just like art. Slowing down and stopping when necessary. Yeah, rest. God rested on the seventh day. I like, can you play AC/DC Hell's Bell songs? I could, but I do try to make these what I'm trying to do, Alpha, is make these live streams into videos later on. So for copyright reasons, I can't play AC/DC right now. All right, but that finishes up our video, for our first video by Jet Franson, Why Our Generation Doesn't Care Anymore. Leave your comments down below, guys, in the video. Let me know what you think. I really like this guy, Jet Franson. And our next video, guys, is going to be on AI. So like I said before, I have seen this. Sorry. Our next video today is going to be on AI. It's an AI creation. So if you've seen the movie Top Gun, I came across this about a week ago. It's basically an anime of Top Gun done by AI. Thank you, me, truck driver. Are you a truck driver too, Alpha? Viking will conquer America soon. I don't know if it'll be Vikings. But yeah, and so the channel is a guy that recreates old movies as synthwave. And so, well, I'll kind of explain it once we get into the video, but so let's start that. So it's by, the channel's called Cabretti, Movies Retold in Synthwave. It's Danger Zone anime version, Top Gun retold in Synthwave. And I'm going to turn on the captions here, guys, because the song is, dude, this whole video, guys, I love it. It's legit. The lyrics are on point. The music is on point. But like I said, so he remakes oldie videos in Synthwave and basically takes clips from oldie movies like Rambo, Top Gun, takes clips, cuts them up, puts them into a video with kind of Synthwave music. This, I believe, is the only video on his channel that is redone in like an anime style, which would take an AI engine, I believe, unless he's a studio, which I doubt it. It's a smaller YouTube channel by a guy. So let's start this and let me know what you guys think.
Naval Air Station Miramar, 1986. The sky belongs to the brave. Call sign Maverick.
Yeah, guys, and I love Top Gun. I love both the movies. We'll turn this up a little bit.
Rolling high on a MiG at dawn. Broke formation, every rule he'd ever known. Gooses with him laughing in the back. Two cowboys chasing glory off the beaten track.
I don't know why it's not showing all the lyrics. I turned the closed captions on, but you can hear the lyrics, man. They're spot on. I mean, it's legit. And I'll put the video in the description below so you can check it out.
Top Gun school, the best of all the best. Iceman's cold stare, putting him to the test. Inverted at 20,000, gave the finger to the sky. Charlie in the briefing room, she caught his eye. He flies on instinct, never by the book. She sees right through him with a single look. The need for speed.
Need for Speed.
He knows how to read. Danger zone eternal, burning through the night. Afterburners screaming, chasing down the light. Highway to the heavens, a soaring soul. Maverick was broken, but the sky made him whole. Danger zone eternal, two souls in the flame. Goose and Mav together, nothing's ever the same. Racing past the angels at the edge of the world. Wings of silver thunder.
I hate to pause it, guys, but just like so I don't get copyright. Oh man, I love this video, guys. And mostly what I want you to be thinking about, guys, is kind of AI, what's its purpose in our lives and moving forward, because there's a lot of people that are for it, and there's a lot of people that are vehemently against it, right? The title of the live stream, right, is kind of, it's a love-hate thing. And we'll listen to a little bit more. We probably won't finish the whole thing out, guys, again, for copyright issues, but I'll leave the video in the description. You guys can check it out. Like I said, I love it. This video, it just pumps me up, man. Like, and the music is super simple. If you're like a music creator or a musician, you'll know, I think, that like the beat is a very simplistic, right? A lot of these synthwave songs are like this, but I'm a simple truck driver, guys. I like it a lot. I think it's dope.
Freedom unfurled.
And so again, guys, specifically the AI in this video, or the anime. So the guy, this channel has this video on his channel, but it's just clips from the movie, so it's not animated. And what he did was he just fed that video into AI, and AI made it animated. So all these scenes are legit from the movie, from the original movie. It's not, you know, an AI computer did not generate these scenes. They are straight from the movie. They're just animated, okay? To make that clear.
Flat spin over water, can't control the stick. Canopy blown open, ocean rushing quick. Goose's laughter fading way too fast. Maverick holding on, but some things never last. Grounded in the grief of what he couldn't save, dropped his tags into the sea. A moving grave. Viper said his father was a hero, not a ghost, but the thing that haunts you hardest cuts the most. Charlie at the door, he almost didn't go. The wound still open, flying low. But some men find their courage in the dark. When the mission calls, it reignites the spark. Danger zone eternal, burning through the night. Afterbird is screaming, chasing down the light. Highway to the heavens, a soaring soul. Maverick was broken, but the sky made him whole.
Man, that hits hard. It just, the beat hits so hard. It's I love it, man. But we'll probably leave it there. I'll leave the link in the description. But what do you guys think of AI? Right. So let me share my thoughts on this. Like I said, I love this video. I love the Top Gun movie. The second one was awesome. Like I said, AI is kind of this love-hate thing, right? Like a lot of people really like it, but a lot of people, right? It's taking human jobs, right? The one argument, right, is that this is super creative. It would take a lot of money and effort, human effort, to create this. And so for some people, you know, they really like that AI can do this quickly, you know, without the time and necessity, resources. But on the other hand, people are saying that that's taking away from humans, you know, jobs, right? Like studios that would create this and people would get paid money to feed their families. And let me see. Yeah, Dutch. It does look like Studio Ghibli. So I don't know what AI he used, but dude, this I can't tell you how much of a fan I am, but when we look, you know, like, I don't know if, like I said, I saw this last week, and I'm hoping that this creator didn't delete comments, but I could have swore that the comments were a lot more 50-50. But when you scroll through most of these comments, a lot of them are super, like, supportive, which, you know, as a YouTuber, that's kind of what you want in your comment section, right? I get it. But when, man, I guess I should have looked for them, but there were comments in here, guys, of people saying, like, this is horrible for humanity, right? It's taking away human jobs. You know, what used to take a full studio, time, resources, people getting paid money, right? Salaries. And again, these are people's jobs, you know. I remember I was telling my wife earlier today when we seen this, my dad's best friend worked at a printing shop for Best Buy, right? The Best Buy headquarters was right here in Minnesota, southern Minnesota, close to our house. And he worked there. He was high up in the print shop. And when the economy crashed in 2007, 2008, Best Buy closed down their whole print shop. I mean, we're talking probably thousands of people's jobs, and they shipped it all overseas, which is what companies are doing now today with AI, right? But they almost lost their house. I mean, he went into a big depression. He couldn't, because of the economy, the crash, he couldn't find another job that paid the same. And so I do understand both sides of the argument here with AI, right? But let me kind of falling behind on chat here, and I don't know how to. I got it on my computer here. Whoops. Alpha's just blowing up our chat here. Let's see. Oh, Alpha's an network engineer building AI, no BS. Yep, I got all these philosophical questions. I guess I'm a genius. Can we get music before computers, actual instruments, and people with experience and talent? Yeah, so what Alpha was saying earlier plays into big about what kind of the argument against AI, right? Is that computers will destroy humanity. Literally, we were warned. I think people are seeing though that, I think initially when AI hit on like the art and music, they were saying, oh, we don't need humans anymore, right? AI can do all this stuff, right? They can make images and all this stuff. I don't know that the creativity level is the same. I think we are seeing, I think people are starting to realize that AI is, it takes a lot of data, right? And it can spit data out, but I don't know if the creativity is the same. Maybe Alpha, you can speak to that in the chat. If you're on the engineering side. Meaning, right, again, so this video is from clips from the movie. There's no like original content from here. The original clips that were already made by us humans, they were animated by AI. That's it. That's the only thing that the AI did was animate it. Computers will destroy humanity. Literally, we were warned how fast you can spin your 10 fingers and now type code on your keyboard. Yeah, so AI can do a lot of that. Not in a millisecond, correct. Dutch. Welcome in, Dutch, by the way. Cool to have you here. I don't know what time it is over there. Alpha's from Finland, Dutch. So Dutch is a longtime viewer from the Netherlands. Super cool guy. He's over on Twitch and YouTube. Check him out. 100% right. We are stepping into a black hole. Yeah, and a lot of people, that's their fear, right? Is this AI? We don't know what the future holds or what it looks like, even, if it becomes sentient. I don't know if it'll become sentient, but that's kind of a big fear, right? It looks like spirited. I guess the future, money is going to die. That's what I see. Yeah, there's even politicians in the U.S. that are kind of running on that, right? I think 2016, Andrew Yang ran, and his big thing was UBI, Universal Basic Income, right? Because AI is taking so many human jobs, and it is what's projected. So his big spiel in the U.S. kind of was, we need to give people a universal basic income. This would come from the government. You would just get a check in the mail, right? Because AI is going to fulfill a lot of our jobs. And so we'll have more time for creativity and doing what we want. I don't know how sustainable that is. That's neither here nor there, but that was his position. That's what he heavily ran on. Sometimes AI can be helpful, but it's not helpful if you want to fake it. Okay. There's no money in the future. I use AI to polish my terrible writing skills. Yes. So that's one point I want to make. I think it can help in a lot of ways, right? So if you have an idea or you're trying to put something together, I think it can be very, very strong and effective in that way. Like you said, writing, if you have terrible grammar or whatever, if you have an idea in your head and you put it down on paper, AI can help you kind of, what do I want to say? Clean it up, right? I think we have decisive choice. Either we continue to argue with each other or we continue to space. It's either dead or alive. We have nukes and we have spaceships. It's like Matrix is testing us. Maybe Darwin was right. Survival of the fittest. Yeah, I don't believe he was right, but a lot of people believe so, right? There is a lot of people that hold to that ideology. It was a theory, and I still think it's a theory. I don't think it's true, but there are people. There are even Christians that believe in evolution, and if so, it doesn't. Even if evolution is true, there are Christians that would say they believe in evolution, but it doesn't. It still wouldn't disprove God completely. They would just say that is the mode that he used to get us here. That's what they would say. But I don't hold to those beliefs. You just survived the savannah of Africa's leopards. What if you have now whole galaxy full of hunters? just survived savanna of Africans, leopards. What if you have now a whole galaxy full of hunters? Maybe just tranquilize you for study in your bedroom. I'm not sure if I'm following you, Alpha. But so if we do look at some of the comments here, guys, a ton of people do kind of feel like I do. They really like this. The song goes hard. The lyrics go hard, right? Okay, AI, you win. But yeah, a lot of people don't like it, right? It's frustrating. It's pretty good for AI here. Facts, but dang, see. So a lot of people aren't fully on board. The song, people are talking about the song being very good. Yeah, I thought the lyrics are really good. Because again, if you're a fan of the movie, and yeah, so again, guys, I hope he's not deleting comments. Maybe he is, I don't know. But there were a lot more. I could have swore there was a pinned comment on the top that had a lot more dissenting views, but he may have gotten rid of those. I'm sorry. I was never good at school, and I learned my English and German from TV. Yeah, Dutch. I mean, so even that, right? When you think about like Google Translate, whether that's AI or not, but yeah, a lot. It can help in a lot of these areas. I'm sorry, I'm Finnish. I'm too smart. I'm sorry, I'm American. I'm too dumb. I can't understand what you're saying all the time. Why do I think this stuff? But yeah, this video is interesting. It's the only one on his channel that he has animated. So like his title, like his channel name is called Movies Retold in Synthwave. So a lot of them are just the movie clips that he's clipped together with like an AI synthwave song in the background. So pretty cool channel. But yeah, this one, man. And it just says Top Gun retold in synthwave with anime style visuals. I don't know what engine he used. Like Dutch said, it looks kind of like the Ghibli studio. AI is artificial, fake, but yet they want them smarter than humans. Humans should invest in humans. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. So, one of the things I was looking at, I guess we could jump into this while we're on the live stream here, and you guys can come along with me here. So I asked the Google AI why we need AI data centers, right? Because that's a huge political issue right now in our country. There's a lot of people that don't want them, right? We're talking about the resources that they're using, the electricity. Our grid can't withstand it. It uses a ton of water. And I'm kind of ignorant to it, so I Googled some of this stuff. Now, mind you, some of my questions are very leading. So you could, people say that these AI chatbots, they'll just agree with you, right? They'll reinforce your own thoughts, things like this. But we do get some information here, so let's look at that. This is talking specifically on AI data centers. So I asked Google, why do we need data centers? Because here's what my small brain, truck driver brain thinks, right? Is we just go to Google and ask questions and it answers us. Okay, and my brain just thinks that like all this is happening in the cloud, right? The cloud holds information and stuff, which I think is like the internet. But I guess it takes like physical, tangible things to process this data. So what it said is we need AI data centers because traditional computing infrastructure is physically incapable of handling staggering computational demands, massive data sets, and unique engineering requirements of modern artificial intelligence. They act as the industrial factories of the digital age, converting raw data into trained functional intelligence. So basically, it takes a warehouse or something to process all of this data and the questions. Like even just the question that I'm asking, right? It took the internet or what have you, time and resources basically to process this. But for me, it's like the internet's been around forever, right? And these different chat databases, I guess, but maybe they were much more small and it didn't have as much information or what have you. The need for specialized hardware, it talks about GPUs and CPUs, right? Traditionally, a CPU, which is like your computer, the little chip that goes in your computer. They're built for sequential processing, handling one complex task at a time. So that's like you and I think that at a very basic level, that's like you and I playing a video game or something on our computer, right? It's the little chip when they talk about chips. AI tasks such as training large language models or executing high volume inference require billions of simple mathematic calculations to happen simultaneously. So this is where, and even recently, GPU prices, which is graphics cards, right? Graphic processing units. People were using this to mine Bitcoin too. The GPU prices were skyrocketing. So AI data centers house dense networks of GPUs and whatever these TPUs are, tensor processing. These chips process thousands of operations in parallel, cutting model training times from months down to days. So kind of like what Alpha said, what a human can do in months, these things can do sometimes in seconds or minutes. High bandwidth memory. AI models require instant access to billions of parameters. AI facilities utilize specialized high-speed memory architectures to feed data processors without bottlenecking. Okay. Scalability and unified compute. So when organizations trains a cutting-edge AI model, it cannot simply run the task across scattered independent computers. AI data centers rely on ultra-fast, flat network virtualization that allows thousands of interconnected GPUs to behave like one singular massive computer, supercomputer. And then they need to scale these, right, to do more complex. These centers allow cloud providers to dynamically scale computing horsepower up or down instantly. Extreme power and industrial cooling requirements. So this is talking about, right, your home PC or standard office server room would melt under the sustained workload required by modern AI. So our home computers are powered by fans. This is where the water heat comes in. All the water that these data centers are going to use. That's what they need to cool the chips and all of the equipment would melt under the high temperatures without cooling. Dense energy needs. Running AI systems consumes up to 10 times more electricity than traditional web searches or database queries. AI data centers are engineered to handle continuous 24/7 high-density power draws safely. So right here, advanced liquid cooling. Because GPUs generate immense localized heat, standard air conditioning is insufficient. AI data centers are built with advanced industrial cooling, such as liquid-to-chip cooling or closed-loop systems to prevent hardware failure. So that's where all the water comes in, right? And this is a huge deal right here, guys. Security, sovereignty, and compliance, right? AI models frequently ingest sensitive data ranging from private medical records to national defense intelligence. Great, lovely. Professional centralized data centers provide the robust cybersecurity firewalls, physical biometric access controls, and strict compliance frameworks required to protect intellectual property and data privacy. So, I mean, this is a huge thing that people don't like, right? These things are obviously ran by people and companies, and all of this data, our information, right? But I mean, Facebook and Google, we've been giving our data up to these companies for a long time. So, whether I'm neither here nor there, whatever, I get it. But I understand why people don't like it. 1 second before we continue. The government wants us to be dumb. Yep, possibly. It's easier to have a underclass, slave class if we're all stupid, right? America is the ruler of the planet, and we want to keep it like that. Europe will go to any means to do that. Noise, water, electricity, land. Too many human resources that we need to survive. So we'll find out later. Nuclear. If they can utilize nuclear, I think that's a viable option. Europe wants U.S. success 100%. We are not enemies. We are companions. Yeah. And that's why I never allow cookies. Yeah. We, the people, need all our resources plus all this money to train robots, humans, not AI. Yeah, again, I'm not sure where exactly I stand on all this stuff. I kind of tend to lean with the people in the lower class that these data centers are probably not the best thing. So we'll get some of these questions answered, right? Because I asked a couple of questions here. So I said, so can you help clarify to my small truck driver brain, please, why specifically do we need all these data centers that the rich and powerful are pushing so hard to get? My current understanding of how a lot of the AI works is like the AI mode on Google or Perplexity or ChatGPT, one of these bots, right? Which is all done through the internet. So I had Perplexity recently do a thorough internal audit into my personal YouTube channel, which did take some time to process. It took a couple of minutes, right? Are the centers needed for that type of work? So yeah, I led the AI obviously in some of these questions, right? And they're like, yeah, you got it exactly right. Like I said, we either die or we go to the stars. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. They are trying to go to Mars, right? But so think of it this way. The internet is just the highway system, but AI data centers are the massive factories where the actual goods are manufactured, okay? So when you use ChatGPT, Google AI, Perplexity, etc., your phone or computer isn't doing the heavy lifting. Your device simply sends a request over the internet highway to a data center where thousands of powerful computers crunch the numbers and send the answers back to your screen. Why the rich and powerful want to build these, right? Because this is going to be multiplying, everybody around the world is going to use this stuff, right? Everybody uses the internet. Billions of people are on YouTube. They use the internet, right? So when Perplexity audited my YouTube channel, it had to read, analyze, and summarize the data. It took a few minutes for just one channel. Now imagine millions of people asking AI to do the same thing at the same time, right? So then they talk about the traffic jam. Without massive new data centers, the system would instantly crash. Tech companies are building these centers so billions of people can do what you did all at the same time without the system freezing up. So that makes sense to me. I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm not an engineer, so I have no idea whether AI is telling me the truth on this stuff or not, but it makes sense to my truck driver brain. So this is interesting, training the brain versus using the brain. So there are two stages in AI, and both require massive physical space and power. So the training, which is what has been happening for the past few decades, I guess, right? Before an AI can answer a single question, it has to learn. To build ChatGPT, tech companies had to feed it the entire public internet. This takes months of thousands of computers running at 100% capacity, generating massive heat and using tons of electricity. This requires specialized data centers just to build the AI's brain. Once the brain is built, every time you type a prompt, it takes a chunk of computing power to generate the answer. The more people using it, the more delivery trucks or service they need on the road. So I've heard of that, right? And now they're saying that AI is training, like it's training and learning from itself, right? It runs tests and all these things and what have you. Let's see. To make more brain rot, people so they can sell more junk. Imagine planets out there that didn't make it. They just have messed up. They killed the planet. Let's not kill our planet, please. Yeah, so Alpha, do you think as an engineer, like, are these data centers going to be harmful to our planet? Like, say best case scenario, they run these on nuclear energy, they're safe. Let's pretend that the water won't be an issue or whatever. Is it like, I don't know what kind of heat these, right? It's interesting to me that like all the global climate, global warming and climate people, like where's Greta Thunberg on these data centers and stuff? Do they not, like, my dumb truck driver brain thinks that like there's going to be a bunch of CO2 and stuff, but I guess nuclear energy is clean energy, so that probably wouldn't be the result, right? Imagine a desolate planet that has a whole civilization dead. Well, imagine maybe they can take the data centers to Mars, right? Why don't they do that? Let us humans, we thrive. You know, our best scenario for living is here on Earth. Why don't they make the data centers on Mars? Maybe they may. Hey, truck driver had a good idea here. The reason tech billionaires are pushing this so hard isn't just for fun consumer tools like auditing YouTube channels, right? It's about automating global industries. So Dutch mentioned this. They are building centers to run autonomous fleets, right? So I know in the truck driving world, even there's a bunch of YouTube creators and people that have brought this up to process live data for self-driving trucks and cars. In fact, my wife and I we watched a couple of YouTubers do Uber Eats or like DoorDash in their Tesla using the fully self-driving mode, like FSD it's called, I think. And it literally drives the whole time by itself. All they do is sit in the seat. They go in to get the meals, but it parks, it turns, and we're talking like parking lots, residential neighborhoods, traffic, you name it. Like the Tesla was doing all of the driving. It was pretty wild stuff that people didn't think was ever going to happen, right? I don't like electric cars. I like my V8 Mustang. I'm not a huge electric car fan. A lot of us said years ago, oh, that'll never happen, right? You can never have a car drive by itself, but it seems to be that it is becoming a reality. So discover new medicines, check this out, to simulate millions of chemical combinations in seconds. Lovely. I don't know if that can soothe your mind after the different things that we've had in the past 6 years. Control logistics to manage global supply chains and warehouse robotics automatically. So that's understandable. So then obviously, right, the company that owns these, they can make more money, blah, 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 right? Yeah. So then I asked, are there big data centers already built? Because haven't companies been building these AI chatbots for a while now? And people have been using, the internet to answer questions and what have you for quite a while, right? So it did say, yes, massive data centers are already built. Thousands more exist across the country. However, the tech giants are trapped in a fierce arms race because the chatbots they built over the last few years have completely outgrown their original homes. So whatever that all means. But he says, basically, think of it like this. If you have a successful five truck hotshot operation, so that's like 5 pickup trucks and trailers, you can run it out of your home office in a gravel lot. But if you suddenly explode into a 5,000 truck fleet, your current setup will completely freeze up, right? It won't be able to handle it. So that's the analogy that they make. Tech companies are facing the exact problem right now. Yep. Existing centers weren't built for heavy hauling. So the companies, Google Cloud, as I stated, the cloud, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services have owned thousands of data centers for decades. So I never knew that. This is where they do stuff on the down low, right? And then we find out later that our food is killing us, right? But however, those were built for traditional internet tasks like hosting websites, streaming Netflix, and storing email. So like what we've been doing on the internet for for the past 2 decades or whatever, 20, 30 years. The power problem. So a traditional data center rack needs 10 to 15 kilowatts. An AI data center rack with powerful chips needs 150 kilowatts. I have no idea what to compare that to. I think it'll tell us later. The infrastructure melting point, putting advanced AI chips into older data centers is like dropping a heavy-duty semi-truck engine into a Prius. Okay, the existing electrical wiring and standard air conditioning would literally melt. So that points to like why they need the water to do the water cooling, and they need to boost the electrical grid and stuff too. That would make a good movie. Yeah, if the data center is on Mars and Mars is on the other side of the sun, how can we communicate? Yeah, I have no idea, dude. But like, maybe that's a possibility, right? If they can figure out how to do it, that would probably be more advantageous for the human species, right, or for our planet Earth to survive, right? I don't know if this will be a huge detrimental issue for the planet, right? Or I have no idea what these data centers are going to do. Maybe these aliens look at us like these effing idiots. Okay, season 1, episode 7, Earth. Yeah, Earth is nothing. It's not even a pebble in the universe. The port of Rotterdam is, if I remember correctly, completed, automated since 1990. Okay, so that must be a dam where you're from. And is that in the Netherlands, Dutch? There's more stars in our galaxy than there's grains of sand on all our beach. That's just our galaxy, and there's billions of galaxies. Yep. The moon is more logic for the data centers. Yeah. So something like that, maybe they could do that, but I doubt it, right? Jeff Bezos just had that spaceship blow up on Earth. So, probably going to be a while before we get data centers on the moon. So it says they're retrofitting what they can. Okay, so you can read this. Elon Musk, they're trying to upgrade what they can, where they can, basically. Other companies are stripping old guts of existing facilities and installing advanced cooling systems because standard fans can no longer keep up with the intense heat generated. Okay. The new mega centers are unprecedented. Okay. The chat bots you see today are running on a mix of these converted older centers and the first wave of newly completed AI facilities. But the reason the rich and powerful are pouring hundreds of billions into construction right now is because tomorrow's AI requires campuses of completely different scale. So this is saying, right, let me see here. Meta is in northern Louisiana, massive facility planned to be up to 5 miles long and use up to 5 gigawatts of power. I don't know what that compares to, right? But so that's under construction. Microsoft AI Center, a multi-billion-dollar site. That's in Wisconsin, so that's right next door to me. Slated to be operational online in phases. Okay, Stargate project, multi-state. A rumored 500 billion multi-year plan to deliver 10 gigawatts of power. Tech companies are building these, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, so then I asked, where are they planning to build these? How much resources will they realistically use? And where are they going to get all the electricity for that? Don't people typically say that our current electrical grid is very much outdated and not able to handle the needs of the future? Right, so that was an argument against like electrical cars, right? People were saying that not everybody's going to be able to plug in their electrical vehicle at the same time at night. It's going to, our infrastructure can't handle it. That was what people were saying. You hit the nail on the head. Your intuition about the electrical grid is 100% correct. See, so this is where like AI just like agrees with you. Yeah, you're totally right. And you never know if it's like true or not, right? But this is what it telling us. So it says, let's see, where are they building them? Tech companies are no longer choosing locations based on where the people are. They are chasing cheap land and massive power lines. Okay, so Data Center Alley is in Northern Virginia, I guess, specifically Loudoun County, is already the data center capital of the world, handling an estimated 70% of global internet traffic. So that's interesting. 70% of global internet traffic. It is expanding aggressively into a massive AI hub. Let's see, Texas, Georgia, and Ohio, and Iowa. And right here, see, nuclear adjacency. Tech companies are buying up industrial land, specifically within 25 to 50 miles of nuclear plants. So then it says, how much resources do they realistically use? The resource drain is mind-boggling compared to a regular warehouse or factory. A single large-scale AI training facility now requires between 100 megawatts and 1,000 megawatts of dedicated power. So here's the analogy that I need, because I have no idea what those numbers mean. To put that into perspective, 1,000 megawatts is enough to power 800,000 homes. So, dude, we're gonna need nuclear for that, man. Like that's a massive metropolitan area. 800,000 homes. Holy cranky. By 2030, data centers are projected to consume 12% of all U.S. electricity, up from just 4% a few years ago. So then the water too. Traditional data centers use air conditioning, but AI chips get so hot they require liquid cooling. They use closed-looped water systems. So kind of like the liquid cooling in our computers too. Some computers have liquid cooling, right? And it's like a closed-loop water system. They evaporate millions of gallons of water per day to keep the chips from melting, causing massive friction with local farming communities. Yeah, so this is where the electricity and the water is where people are coming, there's massive pushback. And is there waste, right? Is there waste to all of this? I don't know. I guess I didn't ask it that. Let's see. Universe is massive. There are aliens. Are you stupid? You are living alien yourself. We don't have any proof of aliens, Alpha, no matter what the U.S. government may tell you. I met with the Port of Rotterdam. The container terminal is since 1990 drives automatically. You are an alien. I'm a human, Alpha. You don't know. I'm an alien, maybe in a different country. You don't know if we are a big brother for some kind of other intelligent life forms. Yeah, but you don't know that we are. That's what I'm saying. They haven't found. We can speculate all we want, but we haven't found any intelligent life forms out there. The mathematics just are gigantual. Is that a Pokemon? So let's guess the universe was born 14 billion years ago. So someone might have had a 10 billion head start. I know that ironic you talking about AI and you use an AI now. Yeah, I know. Earth is relatively a new planet. More like a non-conducting liquid to cool the computers down. It says they're using water, Dutch. Non-conducting liquid. They're 10 billion years head start. Just give me 1 million. Yeah, I would not contact humans either. We are animals. Yeah, there's some people that think that, right? That the aliens took one look at us and said, "No way, Jose. We'll leave them alone." So where to getting the power? Yeah, current electrical grid is outdated. So this is interesting, guys. Maybe we need to invest in nuclear because, like, look at what these rich and powerful companies are doing. They're going behind the meter, meaning they are buying or building their own dedicated private power plants right next to data centers. Okay. So it's Amazon, their nuclear strategy. They bought a massive data center campus in Pennsylvania, located right next to this nuclear station. $20 billion investment to pull 2 gigawatts of clean electricity directly from nuclear reactors. Microsoft signed a 20-year deal to completely finance the restart of the shuttered 3 Mile Island nuclear plant in Pennsylvania. So there's quite a few nuclear plants in Pennsylvania, I guess. $16 billion deal to lock down 100% of the plant's output starting in 2028. So these companies are putting massive, massive money behind this stuff. So when we're talking about jobs and investments, guys, right? Like for your kids, right? Alpha, for your kids, engineers, they're going to need engineers, people that know how this kind of technology works. If the data centers do go through, they're going to need people to maintain them. I know a lot of these companies are promising that all these jobs are going to come, but I think I've seen other YouTubers kind of refute that, yeah, it's going to take a lot of jobs to build these things, but once they're in place, people are refuting kind of the manpower that these companies are claiming that they're going to take, right? That once they're up and running, they should be pretty self-sufficient, I guess. I would assume that you're going to need, again, engineers, people that know these type of things, right? I got a young buddy in the Army that's a HVAC tech that works at a hospital here on like the boiler and stuff, right? So we need people that, even if the system kind of runs by itself, they're probably gonna need repairs at some point, right? Maintenance. So even careers like that might be what we're looking at, right? And again, nuclear power, like it's been a touchy subject for a long time, but I think if this is the move into the future, that we're probably going to need to use nuclear. So yeah, anyways, you guys can see Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Meta. They're all of them are putting billions of dollars, and they're banking a lot of their future on kind of these these data centers, right? You know, like right here, Meta partnered with advanced nuclear startups like TerraPower and Oklo to build next generation reactors for their Ohio facility. So, the realistic reality check. So let's see, because our grid is outdated, the tech giants are hitting a massive wall. Not only that, but politically, right? Too, a lot of people don't want these things in the country, right? So that'll be interesting to see how that kind of what that looks like in the future. In fact, nearly half of the U.S. data centers planned for 2026 are facing delays or cancellations because local power companies are telling them we simply don't have the electricity to give you. So that's interesting. That's pretty interesting. I didn't know that. Tech companies are quietly canceling AI data construction because they don't have the electricity. Yeah, see, so but this is why they are pushing so hard. There's obviously a lot of money behind it, right, guys? And not only that, but with our data, right? So that was kind of that kind of came from that video that I saw, guys, right? Like I love that music video, dude. I'm gonna watch that forever. Like it's I like that music video. The animations. I love the movie Top Gun, so I like that video, right? Some people are heavily against it, but let's see. 14 billion, not yeah. So if you are a super intelligent civilization that can travel between the stars, here we are using combustion rockets. Why would I contact humans? We are like animals to them. Yeah, that's what we were mentioning. Why not solar and wind power? Like here in the Netherlands, all Dutch railway runs on sun and wind power. Yeah, we've done that, Dutch. There's quite a bit here in the States. I don't know that it produced what it promised. I don't know that it produced what it promised here in the States. I think it's a good option for like supplemental, but I don't know that it can be the basis of our infrastructure completely. Sure, it must be super interesting watching us. I'm sure they keep 100% distance, much like we keep distance from wild animals. We just film them. Probably not. We are animals to them, much like your cat. We might be pets for aliens. Now they are just seeding planets. It's interesting to, philosophize and think about. But again, I don't believe that we have any proof for any of that at the moment. Is it possible? Maybe. You have so much empty lands to place windmills and solar panels, and they provide more clean energy and jobs. But they don't feel it in the net. Yeah, Dutch. I mean, they were saying that, but here's the deal, Dutch, right? Like, so solar, right? If it's cloudy, that affects the power that they generate a lot. This is to my basic understanding. And solar takes a lot of maintenance too. But they have been building solar fields here in the States, right? And I think especially in climates that get a ton of sun, right, like the deserts and stuff. Wind, I guess what I've heard is that recycling these wind turbines is not good for the planet at all. They're massive. I don't think that they produce the electricity everybody thought that they would, because they need generation to run. I don't think they don't just blow by the wind alone. So it takes some electricity to circle to get them moving. And then you'll be surprised. Like, I never thought about this, but there's a lot of birds that die. Those wind turbines, they affect nature. I guess there's a lot of birds that die. Is what I've heard. I guess I don't know for 100%, but solar problem is hail. Yeah, hail too. Yeah. So there's different. Again, I think there was a huge push for that in the States, wind and solar both, for clean energy, which is understandable. But I don't know that they produced on their promise fully. So, but it's still used like supplementally, right? There's houses that have solar panels on their roofs. There's local companies that build windmills. I know. Depends if you use the massive windmills. Yeah, there's a lot of like windmill farms here in the States, and they're massive. They're huge. Jesus was an alien. Yeah, technically Jesus was an alien because he's a divine being. He is God in the flesh. So yeah, Alpha, you are correct on that one, sir. But anyways, guys, that we're probably coming close to the end of the live stream here. I want to review those videos. No World of Warcraft today, guys. My daughter will be getting home from work here soon. So no World of Warcraft today. I'm not sure yet still if my audience, fully enjoys that or not. It is kind of like chill content if you're into that kind of thing. But I wanted to get those videos. I had those on our list for today. And so appreciate you guys coming around. We'll probably hang out here for a little bit longer with the chat. Get your guys' thoughts on the AI. If you are watching this video on YouTube later, though, let us know what you think in the comments about. Let me know what you think about the Top Gun AI video, right? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you indifferent? The AI data centers. A lot of people are not for them. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. And with that, guys, God bless. All right, so we'll continue with some of the chat for a little bit longer, guys. What I think is what is happening, these gray aliens are nothing but biological robots run by super intelligent AI, because that's exactly what we would do as humans. Maybe our planet is a blue marble in the blackness of space. I think they are jealous. Yeah, aliens, especially recently, right? If you're in the States, right, Trump and his administration, they put out the files or whatever. They're old photos from the 60s. I don't see any evidence for aliens, right? They didn't take anybody into Area 51, right? They're not allowing YouTubers into these spaces. I don't think anything was new in those files that they released. And just because there's like a UFO, right? I had this conversation with a guy at work. A UFO is an unidentified flying object. That doesn't mean that it's an alien, right? I mean, for us humans, a UFO could be a bird that we can't even, that we can't see, right? Or an airplane or a drone. Nowadays, people are flying drones all over the place, right? So just because you see, just because there's a UFO or a sighting or whatever, that doesn't equal, UFO doesn't equal aliens, right? And I know we're small in the galaxy, and there's many galaxies, but again, with the technologies that we do have currently, the microscopes, supposedly NASA has been to the moon and these different planets, right? We haven't found life, like ours. So, I'm not convinced. You can believe what you want, but that's my stance on it. Yeah, you don't see evidence of aliens. If these guys are 100 million years ahead of you, it's magic. Yeah. So there's a theory, right, that they're too fast for us, right? They would never let us see them, blah blah blah. But like, then we can never prove if they're there, right? They can just play with you and play with your mind. Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of like Darwin's theory of evolution, right? It maybe makes sense kind of logically, but we can't really prove it, right? It's a theory. Technically, I don't believe in aliens, but if you see how life here on Earth evolves, there must be some other kind of intelligence in different dimensions or planets. Yeah, a lot of people would assume that, right? A lot of people would assume that. Even some Christians, right, believe that, you know, God is capable of creating life on any planet, right? We may not be the only galaxy that's here. I very much believe in the biblical narrative that, right, that Jesus came to Earth. So I don't believe that there is other life forms out there. That's not to say that we're you know, supremely important, right? People will say that this is a argument or a talking point or whatever that we think we're so high and mighty that there's no other life forms out there or what have you. That's not quite my belief. I just haven't been convinced, right? With the data and the technology that we have today in 2026, again, the files. If you looked at the files, guys, they showed us black and white photos from the 60s. You know, it's not convincing to me. AI will kill us. It's all signs of the end times. A lot of people believe that. Yep, but I don't know if they think the same way as we think. Yep, they probably wouldn't, right? Listen, anyone who can travel interstellar is already so advanced. It's incomparable from magic. 100 years ago, we rode horses. We didn't have planes. We didn't have light bulbs. We didn't have super capacitors. We didn't go to the moon. That was just 100 years ago. Now imagine a million, yeah, or a billion. It's magic. Yeah, again, that's a theory. It makes sense, right? Logically, you can kind of work it out in your mind, right? Philosophize, theorize about it. It makes sense, right? If there is aliens, they've been out there for 100 million years. They have technologies, right, where they can move at the speed of light or speed of sound. We can't see them, right? You hear about these Navy pilots that say they see things that, you know, they move so fast you just see kind of, right? It's like Goku's instant transmission, right, in Dragon Ball Z. That's how quickly they move, right? So there's no way that we would be able to see them. Finally, the video I rendered is finally done. Oh yeah, cool, Dutch. I seen that you had that second channel, or the traveling channel. I just seen that today. That's pretty cool. They can walk through walls and they can be gods. Yeah, I mean, you know, and if that's the case, then how would we ever prove the existence, right? If they're invisible, we can't see them, hear them, smell them. Then there's no proof. You know what I'm saying? And even in that theory, right, the two sides of the coin, right, are on the one hand, people would say that they're so sophisticated and intelligent that they wouldn't even bother with us, right? They wouldn't show themselves to us. We're just like little worms, right, in their world. And on the other hand, people are thinking that they're controlling us, right? That they, you know, we're a slave planet for them. Maybe Earth is their data center, whatever. They literally bend the material on the atomic level. Here we are doing it quantum physics. Yeah. I hear what you're saying, Alpha, but like, how do we prove that? How do we know that that's true, right? For me, right, we have the Bible, right? It's God's word, and like Jesus came to Earth, and you know, he performed miracles that were witnessed by people, right? We have it written down in history. We have eyewitness historical evidence of it, right? So we can believe that that's true, that it's truth, right? He raised from the dead, the tomb is empty. But like when you start saying that aliens are invisible and they control things on a atomic level and they can bend things, like what, you know, we can't observe it, right? Or, you know, there's no observation, there's no testing, there's no observation. So again, to me, it's just a theory that, you know, people like to dabble in. Is humanity the pinnacle of all life in the universe? Are we the best? God is the pinnacle, but the universe, you know, it displays his power and his glory. Are you stupid? Yeah, I mean, to some people's metric. I'd rather be wise than smart, though. There's 10 billion years missing. How do you prove that, Alpha? 10 billion years? But again, the theory, like I understand the theory. Earth was not even here. Yeah, prove it. You know what I mean? Like, I get what you're saying, and it's nice to theorize. We want to get some music in here, guys. I had let's see where we at here. I closed out our music. Just look in the telescope. Basic math. How Einstein calculated light speed. It's not even that hard. Yeah, I know what you're saying, brother. But again, like, what are we seeing in the microscope? We're seeing planets, you know, meteors. We're not seeing any signs of life, you know. And if NASA, if we've gone to these planets, right, like the moon, we haven't found any with the spaceships that we've created or the satellites. We're not seeing them, right? So again, if you want to claim that they're invisible, we can't see them, then okay, cool. But what does that mean for us? And it has no bearing, you know, on my life or my duties here, right? When we talk about our duties that we were talking about earlier. Microscope, are you serious right now? Oh, telescope. Did I say microscope? You said telescope. We're not seeing them in the telescope. Let me see. Do I still have the... Let me know if that music's too loud. Probably keep going for a little bit longer here if you guys want. I'm not totally against you, Alpha. I respect your beliefs, and it's interesting to think about. Also, remember those witch hunts. Those herbalist women knew how to treat diseases and sickness till a group say it's witchcraft. So that's the result of losing over 200 years of medicinal knowledge. Maybe. Like Eastern medicine was a thing way before the witch trials, right? That was in America, wasn't it? Witch trials. So, like Eastern medicine and stuff like that, they still do. They still practice it today. Alpha says, so we get telescopes on the dark side of the moon. Earth is around 4 billion years old. Universe is around 14.8 billion years old. There's 10 billion years for someone else to come around. Yeah, I mean, again, I hear what you're saying, but it's hard for us to prove that, right? How we measure that isn't, you know, we can't test it. So nobody observed it, and we can't test it. So. Are we the pinnacle of creation? I highly doubt it. Yeah, that's fine. You can doubt it, you know, and we can theorize and philosophize and everything like that. But what we have tangible, what we can prove is a different story. Look up at the stars. Yeah, I do. And like I said, from my view, when I look at the stars and the galaxies and the planets, it just shows me how big God is, how great God is. His glory is on display. As the scriptures say, all of creation shows God's glory and power. His glory is on display for human beings to see. You can see them at night. Yeah. Nothing on earth is perfect. We strive to it, but it will never be perfect. Yeah, I agree. Stars are highly concentrated hydrogen gas. Yeah, I wasn't very good in science class, but I think that's what I was told in school, was that they're big balls of fire. But the universe can point you to God, because the fine-tuned theory, right, says that, you know, how is Earth, us little surviving, right? Alpha, when you said we're like a little speck, how are we still here after all these years, right? That a meteor didn't take us out, or if we're closer to the sun or closer to the moon, it's too hot or too cold. We have oxygen and gravity, mathematics. This all points to a creator, in my opinion, right? This all points to the majesty of our God. Amen. God is good. Yep. Yes, he is. He's good to us, and I am not deserving of such goodness. Sometimes when a star burns, it's all gas, it starts to burn iron. If the star is massive enough, it either creates a supernova that would be devastating to us if our neighbor star died. Okay. Yeah, I'm not super well versed or educated on the stars and planets and the galaxy and space. The star is so massive it literally turns inside out like a donut. Interesting. Yeah, I guess black holes are like pretty crazy to study and think about too. I've heard some wild things about black holes, creating a black hole. Yeah, I don't know why YouTube is like censoring some of your comments. I'm not sure why. Like the black hole, it's censored creating a black hole. I might have to look at my settings. I don't know why it's doing that. Neither do I. Yeah, that's no worry, Dutch. Like I think a lot of us don't, you know. Now imagine a black hole, you can't see it. Yeah, why is I don't know why. I don't know why YouTube is holding some of those comments about black holes. What in the world? That's weird. But anyways, guys, like I said, my daughter's just finishing up her work shift at Dairy Queen, so I'm gonna let you guys go. It was a good live stream. Kay and Dutch, thanks for coming by. Regular viewers, subscribers to the channel. Alpha, I hope to see you around. Maybe check out some of my other videos if you'd like. Interesting that you came through the search filter on YouTube. That's very interesting, because you know we wouldn't have been sorted by viewers. So and Alpha is from Finland, so it's just interesting that you ended up here, Alpha. So I appreciate you swinging by. Appreciate you having here your input. Hey, again, more importantly, congrats on your daughter coming in June. Pray and hope that she's healthy for you, and you and your wife and your 2 sons. That would be awesome. That was great to hear. Thank you for sharing that with me, brother. And you fulfilling your fatherly duties as given by God. That is a blessing. That is a good job. We need more of it. So it's not on mine. Yeah, I don't know. It's filtering. I Alpha made some comments that it said in my live chat were being held by YouTube. So, and they were just comments on black holes. And I had to approve it. It said, I don't know. No, Alpha's he's not an AI. The algorithm or something was censoring his comment about black holes. I don't know why. Yeah, have a good night. Because we see light. Yeah, I saw you by live while I was doing some uploading. Hey, cool, Dutch. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for coming by too. I know our time zones are way different, so I appreciate you coming by. And I saw your second channel, like I said. You guys can go check out Dutch Totoro. He's got some cool videos. He's got gaming stuff. He's got travel stuff in Europe. Rides his bikes around different countries, like around the Netherlands, Germany, and stuff. So it's pretty cool. So check him out. But we're going to call it there, guys. We'll call it a night. And I may continue to do this on the weekends. So, you know, Friday or Saturday, I think. So we'll shoot for Fridays or Saturdays. And maybe if we get enough people, if you guys like it, we'll continue it on a regular basis. But for that, guys, we'll end it there. As always, guys, God bless you all. Peace.